Hello everybody, this is Clive at 5 and you are watching Most Embarrassing Replays. Thank you so much for joining today. Most Embarrassing Replays, if you haven't seen the show yet, it's our 4th episode. It's the show where you send me your terrible StarCraft 2 replays. I watch them, commentate them, put them up online for everyone to see, and then we all have a nice hearty laugh at your expense. Okay, not really at your expense. It was more of a laugh and learn sort of thing, so we're not picking on people. I'm a pretty bad StarCraft player myself. In fact, next week, just as a little teaser, you might just get to see how bad of a StarCraft player I really am, if you haven't already. So, let's not waste any more time right here. Let's go ahead and get into the first match. Alright, so the map is Backwater Gulch. I always get that confused with Blood Gulch. I wasn't a big Halo player, but just the whole Gulch word, I only associate it with Halo, really. So anyway, in the upper left-hand corner we have MTU Pyro, hereafter referred to as Pyro, and in the bottom left we have No Drones from Hummingbird. His drones are appropriately fluttering across the map. So, Hummingbird's going to lose, because this is a rather large map, and he's scouting in the wrong direction. Meaning, Pyro's probably going to, well, at least get close to finishing his wall by the time these drones actually make it to his base. This map is too big. Yes. For rushing drones. Is there a map small enough to rush drones effectively? I'm not really sure. Well, great. In the meantime, this final drone is attacking the hatchery. That's just cute. He's putting so much effort into it. Have you ever just sat and watched? Okay, well anyway, something exciting might happen now. Gas going down, and of course the barracks is producing for Pyro, and Hummingbird is now in the base of Pyro! Let's see how this shakes out. If Pyro loses this, I swear I will quit StarCraft. Attack! Oh no. 3 SCVs down. 1 drone down. Oh my. I'm gonna have to quit StarCraft. There are 4 drones left. And if these drones weren't attacking each other right now, I'm pretty sure Pyro would be losing. Of course he can lift off. Good work, SCVs. You killed the drone. First one of the night. Marine out on the scene. Gonna pew-pew away at that Overlord. Well, that didn't work. No crap. And it's basically only a matter of time before this little drone is able to chew through his own hatchery. The Overmind's not going to be too happy about that. 2 Marines out, not producing anymore because he's replenishing all the SCVs that got killed by a small band of drones. That's fantastic. Oh, in the meantime, drone back harvesting. I reiterate what I said. If Hummingbird wins this match, I'm going to have to quit StarCraft. Oh my. Well, Pyro's able to finish his wall, so that's probably a good thing. I like these layouts now. Look, he's smiling. He's happy about something. Okay, so let's just take a look at the income. Yes, of course, Pyro's way ahead, because he has 11 SCVs versus Hummingbird's an SCV, a drone, whatever. Orbital command now going down, so with those mules, Pyro is going to be off to a roaring restart. You like that alliteration? Single SCV out now, going to scout the base. And now there's a second drone pecking away at the hatchery. Who's going to win? I place my bets on the drone just because of precedent. Oh, no, I think the SCV is going to win. Just one little bite and the SCV will die. Oh! Oh, and all that remains is this little drill. And now, these are the most schizophrenic SCVs or drones I've ever seen. 1 minute they're harvesting, the next minute they're chewing away at their own hatchery, and I'm placing my bets on the drone. That's unfortunate. Maybe the larva will come to life and start chewing on the Marines. That would be fun to see. No, unfortunately, Hummingbird only has 5 minerals left. Pyro certainly has the upper hand. Sadly, I must say, somehow. He GG's. Probably is going to wait until the hatch goes down because I'm sure he can't find where the quit game button is. Would be my guess. Oh, he has that larva selected, so maybe he's going to try to produce something from it. No, hatch is going to... Oh, and the broodlings unable to attack those Marines. That's just tragic. Well, since that was a pretty short game, I think I'm going to find another one to try and commentate. So, if you're watching live, stay tuned. If you're watching on my YouTube account, wait for another 1 second. Hello everybody, this is Clivet5, and we are back with part 2 of Most Embarrassing Replays. This is a match between Zuulon, the red Terran in the bottom right, and Ilana, the blue Terran in the upper right. So we have a thrilling TVT. The match is on, what is this, Crossfire? Or Cross something? Tau Cross? No, that's a Brood War map. Yes. So, what can I say about these players? Ilana, I know, is silver, bronze, around in there. And he's been on the Power Overwhelming scene for a little while, and now Zuulon, I'm assuming, is in the same sort of range. Both going to, of course, put down their supply depots, but Ilana's going for more of a front door seal. So, oftentimes you see Terran when it's TBT, you'll place that supply depot back towards the command center region, simply to protect against either abuse from Reapers or abuse from Banshees. As long as I feel as though you can still kind of do a front door as long as you're covering both areas with turrets. Banshees, of course, are a more common threat these days than Reapers are. Zuulon and Ilana both scout in the right direction, but yep, Ilana does turn around just in time. And that does happen to me too, where I just queue up all the main base locations around the map, and my SCV will occasionally pass my opponent's base and I'll accidentally leave. But Ilana did catch him just in time and did scout that, of course. Zuulon just has the single barracks, single gas, so a very standard Terran opening. Same thing for Ilana, single barracks, single gas. Those were scouted by Zuulon as well. And now Zuulon had taken up the Xel'Naga Watchtower. That's something that I feel as though a lot more lower players need to be very conscious of, is taking that Xel'Naga tower whenever you can. And it's easier on maps where there are 2 towers, 1 for each player. But in maps like these, especially Crossfire, Tau Cross, where there is just 1 Xel'Naga Watchtower and it's right in the smack dab middle of the map, it is so important to keep control of that. Factory going down, and Factory going down on both sides, actually. So we're seeing more of a mirror matchup. Second gas down on both sides, and coincidentally both are just harvesting with one. Oh, now Ilana does have three SCVs on that second gas. Still going with just Marines, so I'm curious to see whether Ilana's going to go more Banshee heavy. Typically, if you see if they're going to go factory play, they might do a couple of Marauders. However, that looks not to be the case. Same sort of thing on Zuulan's side. A lot of Marines, though Tech Lab is going down for on that factory. It'll be interesting to see whether or not he swaps the starport for the factory. Factory's idle so far, and Banshee Harass is so common TVT. It almost becomes standard practice to just build a single turret out of instinct without even really needing to scan. Or at least that's been my experience recently, where it's basically, oh, TBT, they're going to go Banshees, so I just start making engineering an engineering bay rather early. Nothing coming out yet from Ilana. Yep, okay, now he's actually going Raven. Now that's an interesting choice. Against Terran, there's not a whole lot that Raven can do except for harass the probe or SCV line with those little turret guys. What are they called again? Turrets? Not turrets. The little pew-pew cannons. The Hunter Seeker, of course, is pretty worthless unless... Well, it's pretty worthless anyway. I wish they would fix Hunter Seeker, really, to make it a little bit more usable. Point Defense Drone really only helps out against Marauders and Vikings, if I can remember correctly. So, aside from just the detection, which, again, I mean, that's important if you're suspecting that your opponent's going to go Banshees, which... of course, Zuulan is now with the cloak upgrade, so I can't discredit Ilana too much for that. Of course, it's not the most gas-friendly option. Actually, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, I do like the Raven first option, even though it doesn't have a whole lot of late-game use per se. So now that cloak is done for Zuulan, let's just check out income for kicks and giggles, right? Control Alt N. Let's bring that up too. So now we're actually seeing both players are up to mid 40s, upper 40s for supply. Army wise, let's see, U for units. Seeing more tanks, Marines, Marauders for Ilana, whereas Zuulan is definitely focused on the Marine Banshee combination. Now these Banshees are going to come in and are going to try to pick away at some of these SCVs, no doubt. However, perfect. A Viking and Raven combo from Ilana that couldn't be a better counter to these Banshees. And these, I mean, unfortunately for Zuulan, they're not going to do very much. They might pick off a couple SCVs, but since they won't be able to take out that Viking, that's going to be for naught. Zuulan does... No, not going to pull away entirely there. Going to continue to pick away at some of these SCVs. And I do like... that's always a good strategy, I think, to pick away at the SCVs that are harvesting gas, because they're the most easy to forget to replenish. If you pick off a SCV mining minerals, there are 30 more SCVs mining minerals, and of course mules in your Terran. So they're easily replaceable. However, when you pick off those ones harvesting gas, they might not notice, might not remember to check to make sure that, oh no, I only have one SCV. Meanwhile, some tanks, Marine, Viking, and that reactor going down. So I'm wondering if he's going to go more Viking heavy or more dropship heavy. And especially in a TVT, I don't recommend going too heavy on the Vikings. Vikings are great to spot, but really all they're good at doing is, you know, offensively is picking off other Vikings that are spotting. So it's sort of like just have one more than your opponent does. Any more than that is kind of excess, I think. Especially when you're going for this tank-marine combo, which they both seem to be doing. Well, tank, marine marauder, I guess. So it does look... Oh, Alana's going to produce a second Raven. And I guess that may or may not be of any good use. Meanwhile, this Marine wishing that it could actually do something instead of run around behind. Oh, there we go. Terran 101. Marines can't shoot very far, and when they're on a ramp blocking their counterparts, maximum damage is not achieved. Meanwhile, the second going down in that backdoor, natural for Alana, so he does have a very slight economic lead at this point in time. Of course, you just saw Zulon breaking down his rocks, and the command center is nearly ready to go. Gonna morph that into a orbital before he moves it over. In that case, where the command center was actually finished before the rocks were cleared, I would actually land that command center there first, because then you can transfer some of your SCVs, and they can actually be mining more optimally while this second command center is morphing. Gonna take a look at the army size, and wow, very even on both sides. Okay, so we do see 3 Vikings, couple dropships on Zulon's side. Meanwhile, not a whole lot to speak of for air on Alana's side. And these Ravens are going to be very vulnerable to the number of Vikings that Zulon has, which I think is, I mean, it's a pretty good number right now for Vikings. That's pretty safe, and especially against Alana's 1 Viking here at his backdoor expand. Going very heavy gas. What is he using all that gas for? He did eventually realize that that second gas here only had 1. Meantime, you know, he's going tanks, and well, he does have a lot more marauders, so I would give a slight edge to Alana's army. Of course, it's all going to be down to macro in this sort of a tank battle. It's going to be who can spot what, who can maintain that vision control. Zulon does have a couple extra air units, that Banshee, which you can of course cloak, though that will be spotted by Alana's Ravens, which though in turn are going to be vulnerable due to a lack of air defense. Not bothering to rally his barracks. That's not the end of the world, but still you kind of want to have your troops in one place, I guess. At this point, I think it's kind of overdue for Alana to have moved out. He has a lot of tanks up on his ridge, and really what he wants to do is establish his position out here before he moves his command center out. And now it's actually almost too late, because Zulon has moved out, and he's going to have his tanks in position, and Alana's tanks are far behind. Zulon's going to be able to siege here if he sees it. Oh, does he see? He does see that Alana's army's right there. Now he's sieging. Oh, Alana's troops are getting splattered by these tanks. Meanwhile, his tanks finally do siege up, and wow, just because of the excess number of marauders that Alana had, I think he ended up, well, better than he should have ended up. Now these Vikings are going to clean up the rest of this, and Alana can really clean up everything that's left here. He can take out this Banshee, can land right on top of these tanks, and he should really siege this opportunity. No pun intended. Intended, I guess. Come on, land and take those out. Nope, now it's a little bit too late. These Marines are going to be able to fend off these Vikings. yeah, so like I was saying, he really needs to establish this front position. He's kind of at a disadvantage now that Zulon has these tanks out in front. This natural expansion here is really hard to defend since it is so wide, though it does lend to a nice concave of tanks, and I mean, it's just a matter of who gets there first. So if Zulon gets here first, he can get a nice contain on Alana. If Alana gets out first, he can really defend that natural. And especially since if you establish your position here well, he is going to land those Vikings, and wow, Zulon's timing just off a little bit. He had that second group of siege tanks off. Oh no, now engaging with his infantry and blocking himself on the ramp. Oh, that's just too bad. He could have, well, really, he could have landed with these Vikings and taken care of it. Though he chooses to expend those really flimsy Marine and Marauder army there. That's too bad. So yeah, once you do have an established position up here on this plateau, it's kind of a nice spot, because then your opponent is fighting uphill in order to try to break your siege line. So then, I mean, now we're sort of looking at a typical TVT, tanks and infantry versus tanks and infantry. This Raven's not really doing a whole lot. I kind of wish I was seeing more harass from both sides. Speaking of harass, and since both players have tanks and Zulon has dropships, you can really be utilizing this plateau here, which is provides some great spotting down onto Alana's backdoor expand here. Alana, I mean, has of course the same opportunity, but it's a little bit more difficult since he has to bring it around a little bit harder to reinforce versus Zulon's short little jaunt right here to this plateau. In the meantime, this tank is positioned pretty far back. Really, you want to be at this ridge or on this ridge here so that you can see down these ledges. But these tanks are barely outside the range of these bunkers which are going down, and barely are even covering the mineral line. Now a Banshee of Alana's own, however, yeah, okay, now Cloak is researching for that Banshee, but it's, well, depends on whether or not he actually chooses to harass with it or not. It does look like he scans and sees those Vikings there, and again, just a few Vikings. Actually, quite a few Vikings. 9 Vikings on the side of Zulon, 5 Vikings on the side of Alana, and you might be wondering why I'm fixating on these Vikings. It's because the Viking thing frustrates me as a TVT, because they just wipe each other out, and it's kind of an annoyance. How many do you produce? I don't know. But these Vikings are actually going to come in and might be able to pick off a couple of them. No, it's evenly matched here, basically. So now finally that natural expansion going down for Zulon. It does seem that he's quite a bit behind in his income, and yeah, he actually is. His main, of course, is completely mined out, as is Alana's. Backdoor looking fine. Natural, of course, he just moved out. He might actually want to consider going for the gold, since he's in a fairly good position. Army size, he's up by a little bit in the mineral department. Zulon, wow, really heavy on the tanks. Meanwhile, Alana, a lot more heavy on the infantry. That might actually pose a bit of an issue. Now, I think he does have stim, of course, but it takes some really quality micro in order to be able to run those Marauders up into range of the tanks without taking too much damage. Of course, wow, that is so many siege tanks. Alana, I hope for your sake that you scout this and you start producing Banshees instead of Vikings. He only has 3 siege tanks, and wow. Though on Zulon's side, I would recommend, I mean, I do feel as though he's a little bit more infantry light than he should be. I also like that there's a Viking out here. Just a word of recommendation. I like to put a couple units out to scout and just do a little patrol triangle or something. Now that you can put patrol in a pattern, you can just go around in a circle here and ever scout if your opponent decides to expand there. So now maybe going to see some movement from Zualan. Zualan? Is it Zualan? Zualan? Single Raven, and that's kind of the piece that I feel as though, well, I guess I don't really feel as though he was missing, but with that Banshee out on the scene, wow, tank's kind of clumped up, not the best tank arrangement, and Zualan's forces are moving up a little bit too far out of the tank range. He really should be using that infantry to support the tanks, not to do the fighting themselves, really. See, these Vikings will come out and try to pick off Zualan's Vikings, and really he just needs to keep his infantry by his tanks, use the Vikings to peek up every once in a while and scout a little bit. Gotta be careful about that tank positioning. He has the vision advantage, I believe. Yeah, just ahead a little bit in the air count. Now, Alana pressing in. He does stim and run in. He does get some really good movement on that, but he's going to... Oh, yikes. There are just so many tanks. Actually, even bringing his SCVs off the line. Probably not the best idea. You can most likely reinforce a lot quicker than that. Wow, look at the mineral advantage from Zualan. Oh, sieging just slightly ahead timing-wise. Alana is able to take off the remainder of Zualan's force. So now we're sort of, well, we would be back to ground zero here, except for that huge surplus in minerals from Zualan. So yeah, Alana, really think about expanding. You did have a huge economic upper hand. Oh, wait a minute. We're on the army tab, and he has a significantly larger army. Oh yeah, it looks like all that Zualan has left is this marine tank army. Wow, now really going heavy Viking again. I just hate that. Alright, anyway. Ninja expand. That's, by the way, if you haven't figured it out, that's how I say ninja expand every time. So it's kind of my catchphrase. No, not really. Going down for Zualan, it's... I wonder how long it's going to take Alana to scout that. And while I'm kind of a fan of the ninja expand, I'm also kind of not a fan of the ninja expand. Now starting to break down that gold. Vikings on Vikings, gonna get hunted down. Oh, and might just accidentally spot this command center. If he happens to fly north, I don't think it's gonna happen. Marine might be able to pick off one of those Vikings, but it's not probably gonna do a whole lot. No, just flies south of that expansion there, and that's just a little bit of bad luck, I guess, from on Alana's end. Income-wise, players have evened up again because both on basically two bases here. Backdoor's starting to look a little thin on Zualan's side. He did expand a little bit later to his natural, and of course now he's... Wow, look at all those mules. So we're going to see Zualan's income really spike here. Alana's got to be... No, he doesn't have a whole lot of mule energy. He is... Oh, I see. He's way behind in his harvester count. He only has 31 harvesters versus Zualan's 48. Vikings do see that the gold is knocked down. The rocks are knocked down, that is. Might be staging for a push here from Alana. Does have those tanks sieged up, so maybe he's just staging for positioning, I guess. Still hasn't scouted this planetary fortress expand here out in the boonies, and look at that income from Zulon. So if he didn't have a lot of minerals before, he certainly has a ton now. It's almost 5.5K in the bank. Wow, look at all those Vikings too. Just hate that. Have I mentioned that yet? Oh, now a bunch of... What are the ghosts for? That's kind of weird. Don't really know what the ghosts are going to do. There's no energy to EMP. They could snipe, though. There are only like 2 ghosts, and the tanks outrange them. And obviously the vision is a big part of this battle, so the ghosts aren't going to get very far. Scans on both sides, and Zulon really needs to be careful here. He's running his infantry in, still with the... I mean, he doesn't even have nuke or a nuke researching. What is he going to do with those? I mean, I guess he can cloak too. Yeah, he has personal cloaking. Huh, I just don't know about that. Now that all those mules are gone, Zulon's going to produce more harvesters. That's fantastic, even though he has 48 of them. Now, I believe I've heard that the optimal amount is to have a third of your supply on harvesters. Nope, now he's going to pull away from this area. I wonder if he actually did spot this. Nope, has not yet spotted that expansion. Might be going around for a flank of some sort. That wouldn't really work, I don't think. I don't know. No. Man, just misses that expansion is there. That's too bad. Zulon did have an opportunity now to make some progress on acquiring map position, but has kind of lost that. Again, really heavy in the tank arena. And though he does have the Vikings to defend against any air attacks from, say, Banshees, which, well, now he's abandoning his tanks, but I don't know, I just kind of disagree with that. Oh, I did miss that nuke was being researched. So, hopefully we get to see a nuke. That would be so fun. Oh, Alana, that was nice of you to break down your opponent's gold. Ghost here, now laying down a nuke on a lot of Alana's army, and he scans, and I know he can see it, but the tank is in range, but he can't quite hit. He's a little bit too close. Oh, I think he just got it in time. It's so hard to tell in Wings of Liberty. You can't really tell when the dot turns into sort of that critical moment of when it's too late, where in Brood War the dot would go away and then you're like, oh crap, everything's dead now. So anyway, back to income. Does look like Zulon is a little bit closer to that magical amount of roughly 60 harvesters. If that was right, I don't know, someone might have to correct me on that. What the right amount of harvesters is. Both players should really consider expanding again, and also building a lot more production. I mean, he has 4 barracks, 2 starports, and a single factory. When you have 3K in the bank, basically you should have way more production units. Zulon's doing a little bit better in that respect, has a lot more barracks, has the same number, a couple more starports and a couple more factories. So basically what you want to do at this point... Oh, now Alana moving in and crashing down on that planetary fortress, sieging quite a bit too late, and not that it really mattered. So now Zulon's going to take the opportunity to counter, or at least take some map positioning. And this is the point of the game, like I was saying, you have so many production, you have so much in the bank. What you want to do is make sure you have the production to basically crash your army into your opponents and outproduce them. Wow! Alana just walking straight in, not sieging tanks, not scanning ahead of time, and ouch, the positioning for Zulon was perfect. He just basically took out 150 supply of Alana's, And this is, I mean, honestly, it's going to be the end. Now he has a couple more barracks that can produce, but he's not going to be able to rebuild that force in enough time to take out these tanks, which are now just going to start ripping away at the front door. So many Vikings, and no, don't lift that off. The Vikings, oh, that's too bad. Wow, 6K in the bank, 4K in the bank, I mean, it's tough to be able to use up all those minerals, I know, especially when you get to that point where you're playing more of the positioning game, teetering back and forth. And there are even parts in pro games where I see they start to build up a little bit of a mineral surplus when they're trying to get their troops in the right position, but you always want to make sure that you have enough production to almost instantly get back up to 200. Wow, that was retarded of me to do that. Yes. It was unfortunate, let's just say that. Oh, and now all the remaining troops up on the ledge. Yeah, a bit. Yeah, you're not supposed to say that, sir. It's kind of rude. Yeah, Alana's forces are gone. Looking at the army tab, just look at that huge 6K army versus Alana's paltry 400K army, or 400 mineral army. You lucked out that I killed myself. Well, I guess. Well, this looks like it's going to be the end of the game, so let me say thank you to Alana for sending me this replay. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Right now, we're going to go to the team matches, well, actually, after a very short break. Thanks for hanging in there. I know this one was a little bit of a longer replay. I did have some shorter episodes in the beginning, so it's about time I start getting into games with a little bit more, well, a little bit deeper dynamic, I guess you could say. Well, as much dynamic as you can have in a bronze or silver level TVT, because, as you know, TVTs are not always the most exciting. And, you know, as you saw, it's just tanks and infantry versus tanks and infantry. So, yes, thank you very much for tuning in. If you have any embarrassing replays of your own, I would love to see them, commentate them, and feature you on this show. So please send those to clive@5.action, all spelled out, no symbols, no numbers, clive@5.action@gmail.com. If you're catching this on YouTube, please come watch the show live Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock Central. We would love to have you as part of our community. Come check it out. We do team matches and, of course, this show on Tuesday nights. Bronze through Platinum, King of the Hills on Thursday nights, and Fusion hosts those. Everything can be seen on poweroverwhelming.net. So please check out the site. It's looking great so far. We've had a couple really talented developers working with us on the site, so we want to give them a hand. I guess that's it for this week. Tune in next week, everyone. See you in the team matches. I'm saying that just to satisfy Fusion. What I'm actually going to do is go play LA Noire. I'm really excited about that. I might show up for a couple matches, but really I'm going to be playing LA Noire until the wee hours of the morning tonight. So if you are at all curious and want to check that out, check out my Justin TV account, Clive@5, all spelled out. So yes, thanks for tuning in. I said that 6 times now. Good night, everyone. See you guys in a bit.